University of Houston and Texas A&M from G. Raleigh White Coliseum. College Station, we have no score. We're less than a minute into the ball game. We've had a couple of personal fouls called, one against Houston and one against Texas A&M, but the scoreboard is still zeros all across. This is Alvin Franklin and Clyde Drexler. Drexler, a 6'7" forward who does it all for the Cougars. Houston working on a winning streak that is now 12 games along, third longest in the nation.
Clyde Drexler is perhaps the most potent offensive threat the Cougars have. Tyrone Knowles is guarding him in a man-to-man defense. He's giving up several inches in that situation. It should be interesting to watch and see how it comes out.
The 7-footer, Hakeem Olajuwon, missing and rebounded by Jimmy Gilbert. Gilbert is an interesting story. In the first 5 ball games of the year, number 30, the freshman center, was hitting only 22% of his shots. Backdoor to Roy Jones. Blocked by Hakeem, his second of the ball game. Well, they say it's goaltending. Goaltending called, and Roy Jones. Let's look at that one again.
Larry Mishaw committed the mistake that time. He turned his back on his man, looked at the ball, and then wisely backdoored, allowed Keem to go up and do what the officials construed as, well, I don't know about that one, Frank. It looked to me like he caught that one on the way up, which would make it legal.
At the other end, live action. And Hakeem stuffed it home, and we're tied at 2. Roy Jones with the bucket, and Hakeem with an answering bucket for Houston. We're tied at 2. 2 minutes into the game. Reggie Roberts working against freshman Alvin Franklin. This is Roy Jones working against Larry Mishaw. Got the step inside, but Hakeem got the block. And a foul called on, is it Hakeem or Drexler?
Looked like he pointed at Drexler.
Yeah, it is on Clyde Drexler. That's his first, number 2 against the Cougars.
3, blocking, 2 shots.
Here it is again, Dan.
Well, as you stated earlier, they are taking it to the strength of Houston, their board play. How long they will continue to do that is debatable, Frank. They might be better off by taking their jump shots from the perimeter because they are a good jump shooting perimeter shooting team.
Roy Jones will go to the free throw line. Texas A&M this year, kind of in the middle of the pack, free throws, 62%. That gives the Yankees the lead, 3-2. They've led twice now. And Jones has all 3 of A&M's points.
Roy Jones not known for a great deal of proficiency on the line, but that time he put in 2. Prior to this game, he'd only been shooting 44% from the free throw line.
2 minutes gone. It's 4-2. Texas A&M leading Houston. Dan, an interesting thing with Houston having the ball, I guess I should mention this more when A&M has the ball, but nobody in the Southwest Conference has managed to shoot 50% against this Houston team this year.
Well, that certainly points up the strength of their defense, particularly the basket defense led by Hakeem.
Alvin Franklin. Olajuwon, the 7-footer, and twice he has rocked the backboard.
The most amazing thing about Olajuwon, not the fact that he is 7 feet, not the fact that he blocks so many shots, but as we see here, it's his quickness in getting up in the air. He is perhaps the quickest big man I have ever seen.
We're tied at 4. A&M. Jimmy Gilbert. Oh, the infighting is tough. Mishaw to Drexler. Tyrone Knowles is back for Houston for A&M. And grabs the rebound, loses it, and Olajuwon pulls it down. We're tied at 4. We played 3 minutes.
Not a good pass by Mishaw that time. It didn't have enough on it. Had he gotten the ball a little quicker to Clyde, I think it would have resulted in a score.
Vaughn Riley getting the rebound of the missed shot by Drexler. This is Reggie Roberts, 6'3" against Alvin Franklin, 6'2". Oh, a pass that almost caught Gilbert by surprise. Leave it did. 4-on-2 break. Drexler with the slam. Houston had the numbers, and they took advantage of it.
Quite obviously, that's the thing that A&M has to attempt to avoid. The way you avoid Houston's break, of course, is either to make the shot or to work those offensive boards, not allowing Houston to get the big defensive rebound.
6-4, Houston in front by 2. This is Riley working against Drexler. Boy, what a matchup that is. Roberts against Franklin. And again, Olajuwon's presence caused Roberts to change the arc of his shot.
You can see it on the face of the Aggie shooters. They're wondering, where is he going to be when I release that ball?
He just got another block. That's his 3rd of the ball game. He has blocked as many as 11 in one game. Drexler with another outstanding basket.
Houston lucked out on that situation, Frank. Young should have made the pass. He held the ball too long. He went for the alley-oop. It didn't materialize, but they did lock out and come up with 2.
It is 8-4, Houston. 15:50 to play in the ball game in the first half.
Excuse me, the Aggies are running a one-man front. They're putting Clyde up on the high post because he's such an effective shooter. They're looking to brush the point guard off of him. If he can't get it, he kicks the ball back to Clyde, and he can hit from that spot.
Aggies have just turned the ball over. And Houston will bring it down the floor. There's a timeout on the court with the score, Houston 8, Texas A&M 4. Well, in the early going, the University of Houston has hit 4 out of 8 shots, 50%. The Aggies 1 out of 8, and there have been 3 blocks by Akeem. Rebounds favor Houston 5-4.
These two teams are 2 of the 3 teams in the conference that are shooting over 50% for the season. Houston at 53.2, the Aggies 50.7.
And I believe we also checked before the ball game, and Houston is winning by a larger margin than any other school in the country, beating their opponents by almost 19 points a game, and that's the best in the country. This is Alvin Franklin working against Reggie Roberts. Don't forget, you'll be selecting the most valuable player for today's game, so as you watch, you might make a choice for yourself and see if we agree at the end of the game.
Franklin accepted the challenge that time that Reggie was throwing down to him, but I don't believe Guy Lewis wants Franklin to take that many shots. His primary purpose offensively is to get the ball inside, not to shoot from the outside.
Aaron Knowles dumped it inside to Jimmy Gilbert and missed the stop shot. Tell you what, the big guy's presence is, you just always know he's there.
I don't know of any other word to use to epitomize it but intimidating.
It is 8-4. Cougars up. This is Olajuwon. Travel to the ball.
Well, that's something that Akeem will learn as he plays this game a little more. When the ball comes inside to you and you are surrounded by 3 defensive players, you don't wait, you don't challenge them, you kick the ball back out to one of your teammates who will be free and let him take that shot.
2 turnovers against each team. 2 apiece. Aggies 2, Cougars 2. Score 8-4, Houston. Aaron Knowles on Young. Drexler coming out to give him good help. Cougars are not only, this is Claude Riley, the 6'10", 215-pound senior, out for about a week earlier this year with mononucleosis, but is now coming back and starting to really be a force in the Aggie team.
And A&M definitely needs a strong game by Claude to have any opportunity at all to win this game.
Traveling called against Drexler. Turnover number 3 against the Cougars. It's 8-6. Houston by 2. We've played 6 minutes.
Well, that was caused, of course, by defensive pressure by A&M. Reggie Roberts doing a real good job of hawking that ball when Franklin has it.
You saw Guy Lewis a moment ago. Between Guy Lewis and Shelby Metcalf, they have coached 1,292 college basketball games. 47 years plus experience. Roy Jones. Rebounded by Michael Young. Drexler's got 6 points, and the Cougars are up 10-6.
Well, as long as you can maintain mastery of that defensive board like the Cougars have, you are going to get your share and more of fast break baskets.
All of the baskets for Houston have come inside. Drexler has 3. Akeem has 2. Gilbert. A foul by Akeem.
Anytime you see action like we're seeing around the boards this afternoon, here's a classic example of it. When they take it inside to the big men, you're going to get lots of fouls, you're going to get lots of blocks, you're going to get a lot of action.
Well, the young freshman, Jimmy Gilbert, 6'9", 220. He's gained about 20 pounds since they recruited him last summer. He was about a 200-pounder then. He's up to around 220 now. And he is really coming on lately.
Gilbert shoots 51% from the free throw line for the year and 51% from the field.
Aggies are 3 out of 3 at the line now. It's the first missed free throw, and it's a 3-point Houston lead, 10-7. Cougars, in addition to being the top team in the country in the margin of victory over their opponents, are the 4th best rebounding team in the league, in the country. Akeem shooting and missing. Alvin Franklin with a save.
I'm a bit surprised that Akeem is taking as many shots as he has. He is not a good outside shooter, of course, and Houston has some excellent outside shooters, but they haven't had their hands on the ball that much.
Michael Young as Houston plays volleyball. And Young gets it on the 5th try.
That's a better example of Houston's outside shooting skills.
Score of another game final. Boston College has defeated Villanova 76-70. Boston College over Villanova 76-70. Our score 12-7. Houston over Texas A&M. 12.5 minutes to play in the first half. Back door again. Roberts. Follow shot by Riley.
Another interesting matchup we should watch is Clyde Drexler is watching Riley. That time, Clyde took his eyes off of him, went to the ball came back to Riley. Riley went in for the rebound unopposed.
Here's Young. He likes this shot, but it was short, and Hakeem tipped it out of bounds. Neither team has substituted in the first almost 8 minutes of the ball game.
Neither team has really set a tempo so far this game, Frank. The tempo is even for both teams. They're both coming up and down about as fast as they can, putting the ball up in the air within about 15 seconds. So style has got a great deal to do with the game as far as we've gone so far.
Well, I tell you, Kenny Brown, the 23-year-old freshman, is about ready to come in the ball game for Texas A&M. He is their designated zone buster, their outside shooter. And he's sitting in front of the scorer's table as Riley shoots and gets his third bucket. I tell you what, the way Riley's shooting it may tell us something, Dan. He is obviously on his game this afternoon.
Well, he is. He has been for the last several games, Frank. He's shooting with confidence. He wasn't doing that earlier in the year. You can see it on him. When he goes up strong, he goes up right, and if he is right, it's going to be a great game.
Mishaw with his first shot of the day. Larry Mishaw, 6'9", 225-pound senior. This is a very young Houston ball club. Mishaw is the only senior in the starting five. And really, there are only about 2 or 3 seniors who play a significant amount for the Cougars.
A&M has changed their offensive alignment. They've gone to a low two-man stack on the left side, opening up the middle for penetration a little better than they do when they have a man in the high post position.
Well, the Aggies are back to within 1 on that bucket by Reggie Roberts, who banked it over the big guy. We've got 11 minutes to play in the first half. 14-13. Houston by 1. Michael Young. The closest that anybody has played Houston at home was a 15-point decision over Arkansas. On the road, of course, a little different story. They had a close call up at Fort Worth against TCU. In the SEC, Kentucky has beaten Alabama 76-70. Well, I think we've had 2 final scores with identical scores. Kentucky beats Alabama by 6, 76-70, and it was Boston College over Villanova by the same score. So, with 10:32 remaining in the first half, the score is Houston 16, Texas A&M 13, and G. Raleigh White. We'll be right back. Well, tomorrow, Ray Boom Boom Mancini returns to the ring on NBC Sports World in a live bout from Italy against the British lightweight champion George Feeney. Then the beauty and grace of figure skating as the world's premier professional figure skating competition, the World Pro Figure Skating Championship, is back for another year. So it's ice skating and boxing, a knockout combination tomorrow on NBC Sports World. Let's pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC Television Network.
KPRC TV, Channel 2, Houston. When you cover the South's largest city.
Well, Hakeem Olajuwon has just gotten his third basket of the day as the University of Houston leads it now by 5, 18-13, as we approach the halfway mark of the first half here at G. Raleigh White. Texas A&M has made the first substitution of the day, number 32, Kenny Brown. 23-year-old freshman from Memphis, and Claude Riley has hit 4 in a row. And the Aggies are back to within 3, 18-15.
Reed Geddes has come in for Houston in place of Alvin Franklin. Reed is a 6'6" sophomore, the best field general on Houston's team. Not as quick nor as fast, but the fact that he has 119 assists should tell you something about his ability.
And we have a foul called on Larry Mishaw. That's his second, number 4 against the Cougars. 9:42 to play in the first half. It's 18-15. The number 8 rated Houston Cougars leading the Texas Aggies. But remember, Houston has not won here now since January of 1978.
Aggies have gone back to their high post offense.
The designated outside shooter, Kenny Brown, blocked by Mishaw.
When you said outside, you meant inside the gym, though, didn't you?
Lowell McHenry is number 25, is in the ball game also for Texas A&M. So the Aggies have Kenny Brown and Lowell McHenry, a 6'6" junior from San Antonio, in the lineup. And as Dan said, Reed Geddes, number 45, 6'7" sophomore, is in for Houston. This is Riley. Hakeem with a rebound.
Not a good shot by Claude that time, Frank. He hurried the shot. He had time. When you're 6'10" and you're playing outside as far as he is, it's not likely that shot's going to be blocked, so you have plenty of time to get it off.
Drexler. Hakeem almost hit that thing back in. Lowell McHenry with a rebound.
A&M doing a very good job defensively. They're forcing Houston into taking shots that Houston perhaps shouldn't be. They're not allowing them to utilize good shot selection.
Aggies could pull to within one with the basket here. This is Kenny Brown. Aaron Rawls. Brown again. 2 shots he's tried, 2 he's missed.
It looks like Houston's going to concede that outside shot to Kenny.
There's Michael Young, perhaps the most unsung player on this Houston team. He's got 6 points. And the Cougars are back up by 5, 20-15.
And Michael Young is not the all-around ball player, say, that Clyde Drexler is. He's an excellent shooter, but not as good in the other phases of the game as some of the other members of the Cougars are.
I believe that may be the biggest lead for the Cougars so far this afternoon. It is. It's their 3rd time to lead by 5. Riley has missed 2 in a row now, and the team gets the rebound.
Houston has switched to a zone, which should open up that middle for Clark.
Just under 8 minutes to play in the first half. Houston 20, Texas A&M 15. Mishaw fouled by McHenry. His first, number 3 against the Aggies.
McHenry came over to help Claude Riley that time in defending against Mishaw. Virtually they were double teaming him. I don't know if that's really necessary. Mishaw, a good scorer, but he has to be relatively close to the basket to be effective.
Larry Mishaw, for the last 2 years, right up at the top as far as field goal accuracy in the Southwest Conference is concerned, 60%. I'm talking about from the field now, not from the free throw line. There he'll be shooting a pair. These are the first 2 free throws of the day for Houston. Cougars from the free throw line are 59.6%, and that is only 6th best in the conference.
Reggie Roberts has come back in, giving Tyrone Knowles a rest. Shelby will have to go to his bench because that is one of the great strengths that Houston has. They're probably 10 or 12 players deep.
Drexler fouled on the shot, I believe, by Riley. Nope. Fouled instead by Kenny Brown. That's his 4th, or his first, number 4 against the Aggies.
Well, that's just a good old-fashioned example of clobbering the shooter.
So Clyde Drexler, a lot of people feel this guy could be the most valuable player on this ball club. He does a little bit of everything. Great offensive rebounder.
And does it well. Shooting 77% from the free throw line, which is very good for any player, particularly one of his stature and size.
Drexler has 8 points, and the Cougars now with their biggest lead, 8 points, 23-15, 7:48 to play in the first half. We have a call timeout with the score 23-15 in favor of the Cougars. We'll be back in just a moment. Well, on NBC Sports tomorrow, DePaul and Georgetown. A couple of great teams, great coaches, Ray Meyer, John Thompson. You can see the big man, Patrick Ewing. That's tomorrow at 1 Eastern Standard Time on the home of great college basketball right here on NBC Sports. Dan?
Well, the statistics show that Houston has stayed about the same as far as shooting concerned at 50%. Aggies have jumped up to 26.1%. Rebounding, Houston, of course, is leading 17-11.
Well, the Cougars are doing what they do best. This is Olajuwon over Gilbert. Rebounded by Lowell McHenry. Biggest lead of the ball game for Houston, 8 points, 7:19 to go.
The Aggies are sending 4 and sometimes 5 defensive players to the board, and this is doing well for them because it's preventing the Houston Cougars from coming up with that second and third shot attempts like they are so prone to do.
At halftime, we'll have a visit with the Texas A&M Athletic Director, Jackie Sherrill. Michael Young. 2 shots by Young. And I believe Mishaw has just drawn his 3rd foul, and that is 5 against the Cougars. And you know, Dan, one of the interesting stats about Houston, they played 19 ball games, and only 2 players have fouled out 2 times.
That is almost impossible to believe, Frank, because of their size and because of the fact that they play man-to-man defense almost throughout. As we watch this play one more time, you would expect Houston to commit many more fouls than they do, and certainly to foul out more players than you alluded to the fact that they do.
There's Benny Anders. They call this guy instant offense. He came in off the bench against Baylor on Wednesday night and scored 15 second-half points. And he has replaced Mishaw, who's on the bench now with 3 fouls.
Benny has great raw talent. He, however, has yet to get that talent under control. You must remember, this is a team game.
Riley to Reggie Roberts. 23-15. Aggies have been stuck on that 15 number now for a little while. This is Lowell McHenry.
Houston, of course, is staying in their zone, and it looks like the Aggies like it. They look a little more comfortable playing against that zone. Guy Lewis perhaps is doing that to take some of the pressure off the foul situation.
Maxwell Young bombs it from outside. He has 8 points, as the Cougars now have 11 buckets. The Aggies have 7. The score, 25-17. Jimmy Gilbert. He traveled. And a turnover against Texas A&M. The Aggies have turned it over 4 times. Houston's been guilty of 5 turnovers as Tyron Knowles comes back in for Texas A&M, and Kenny Brown goes out.
For the year, Houston's averaging a little over 16 turnovers a game. The Aggies right behind him, almost 16 turnovers per game.
Reed Geddes, second in the Southwest Conference in assists, although he doesn't start. Averages better than 7 a ball game. David Rose. He's the oldest guy in the conference, 25 years of age, matching the number that he wears on his jersey.
Houston has 2 excellent outside shooters in the ballgame now in Geddes and Rose. If need be, they both can pop from the outside.
There's a little bit of that instant offense we talked about from Benny Anders, the 6'5 sophomore from Bernice, Louisiana. Cougars up by 10 for the first time this afternoon, 27-17. They've done a good job of taking the crowd out of the ball game a lot right now, Dan.
Well, they have. One thing that Houston has done defensively, they've gone to a box and 1, Frank. They're playing 2 men up, 2 men back, and they've got Clyde Drexler shadowing Claude Riley. Pretty good defensive move.
Blocked by Akeem. This Houston team blocked 17 shots. I think that was against Arkansas. Tyron Knowles had it down. It came back out. Riley has it and stripped. Comes back. And was fouled by Akeem, his second. Number 6 against the Cougars.
Riley being very aggressive that time, taking advantage of the situation. He made the move, and Akeem stood there and watched him, and consequently reacted a little too lately, and that's why he was called for making that foul.
So Mishaw is on the Houston bench with 3. Akeem has 2 fouls with 4:50 to play in the first half, and Claude Riley not shooting his free throws as well this year as he has his first couple of years. He was an 80% free throw shooter last year. He's about 66% now.
Now, again, the fact that he did suffer from mononucleosis earlier in the year, in this season, should have something to do with that percentage.
Big guy from Crockett. Has played very well since he came to A&M as a freshman. 10 points for Riley. He had a 38-point, 18-rebound performance against this Houston team here last year. Now for the University of Houston, we get Brian Williams in the ballgame, number 55. Brian is a 6'7 senior from Inglewood, California. Geddes and Anders now the 2 guards for the University of Houston. Mishaw out of the ballgame with 3 fouls. Riley with the ball. A&M could cut the lead down to 6 with the basket here.
Very fine block by Jimmy Gilbert. He anticipated what was going on and timed his move perfectly.
Tyron Knowles, Reggie Roberts.
You know, really, this boxing 1 is serving several purposes. One of it is giving or causing A&M to take more patience as far as their shots are concerned, which I think is definitely to their advantage.
Well, the Cougars have just drawn a foul. I believe it's Brian Williams with his first, and that is number 7 against the University of Houston. But I think it's going to be a shooting foul for Reggie Roberts. A&M so far has hit 5 out of 6 free throws. Cougars are 3 out of 4. Kenny Brown back in, and Tyron Knowles sits down for A&M.
A&M only shooting a little over 62% on the free throw line this year, Frank. Not one of the better marks in the conference. Reggie Roberts a little better than the team average. He's shooting at about a 69% average.
Reggie gets his 3rd point of the day. And it's 27-20 Houston. Make it 27-21. The Aggies now have hit 7 out of 8 free throws and are back to within 6.
Mishaw's absence, being on the bench, is likely to hurt Houston. He plays better in big games, and this is certainly a big one.
Benny Anders gets the basket and is fouled by Lowell McHenry. The basket is good. So Anders comes off that bench to get his 2nd basket and draws the foul on Lowell McHenry, his first, number 5 against the Aggies.
We saw Selby Metcalf wandering up and down in front of his bench that time. Not in great consternation, I think, just wondering what he can do to stop this flow.
Clyde Drexler, you saw a moment ago, is back in the lineup for the Cougars with his 8 points. And Benny Anders from Bernice, Louisiana. Shoots those free throws just like he shoots them from the field. Well, with the clock showing 3:57 remaining in the first half, the University of Houston leads Texas A&M 30-21, and we'll be right back. It's 30-21. Texas A&M trailing the University of Houston with 3 minutes and 57 seconds remaining to play in the first half. And right now, A&M shooting only 27%. As you look at Reveille. And the Cougars are hitting 50% and out-rebounding the Aggies by only one now, 17-16. So A&M's done a better job of coming back on the boards, Dan.
Well, they've really secured 7 rebounds to 0 for Houston, because the last time we reported it was 11-17. Or no, excuse me, 10-17 was it?
Riley from 24 feet. Sean Riley now has 12 points. And he's keeping A&M in this game single-handedly. No other Aggie has more than 4 points. Riley has 12. 30-23. Reed Geddes. Michael Young.
Geddes has great vision, excellent passer. He's exactly what they need in the game at this time to get the ball inside.
Riley with a rebound with a miss by Akeem. Aggies could cut that lead down to 5. It has been up to as much as 10.
Cougars still in their box and 1. Benny Anders now is chasing Claude Riley. So far, that strategy hasn't really paid off as Coach Guy Lewis would like.
Well, Kenny Brown hits his first one after missing a couple. So that proves he's not easily discouraged, and the Aggies are back to within 5.
That's a good way of phrasing that. You better watch Kenny Brown about the time he crosses 10-second line, because he's apt to shoot it anywhere from there on in.
There's Benny Anders, instant offense, and he now has 7 points off the Houston bench.
Benny has great individual offensive moves. He has a 42-inch vertical jump. As we stated earlier, he just has to harness all that talent, put it together, and then he will become a starter for the Cougars.
It's quite an opportune basket, too, for Houston, because the Aggies had just made a mini run at Houston, cut the lead down to 5, so Anders jacks it back up to 7. I think Kenny Brown may have caught a finger in the eye as Michael Young went by him.
I think you're right, he did.
Oh, Akeem doesn't see Michael Young. They had him at the other end for a snowbird, but they didn't see him. 2 minutes to play in the half. 32-25, Houston. Akeem on Gilbert. Player control foul on Akeem, his third.
Well, Akeem still doesn't have all the individual skills that you'd like to see in a big man. The first thing he did that time is put the ball down to the floor, and that's what a coach will say don't do. Keep the ball up in the air when you're 7 feet tall. Don't let the little guys get it. We didn't pick up the bounce, but you see the bounce caused him to move backwards into the defensive man. That's where the foul was called.
You know, we didn't mention it earlier. We were talking about Akeem's 100 blocks. Jimmy Gilbert, the freshman center for Texas A&M, has blocked 51 shots himself.
What an accomplishment for a freshman.
Well, we've got a minute and 58 seconds remaining to play in the first half. It's 32-25.
And somewhere we've missed a technical foul, Frank.
Well, we have a technical on the Houston bench. So that means Riley's going to be shooting a pair. Riley has 13 points. I really don't know what the technical was on. I'm sure it was in a protest over the call on the foul on Olajuwon. And it had to be on the bench because that's the 2-shot foul.
Absolutely correct.
So Riley narrows the gap down with his 14th first-half point. It's 32-27. Riley has more than 50% of the Aggies' 27 points. There's Guy Lewis.
Should the Aggies score right now, that would be a 4-point play, and that would come at a most opportune time in this ball game.
A minute 50 to go. 32-27. Houston. Knowles from 18 feet. And the Aggies have cut the 10-point lead down to 3, and the crowd is back in the ball game.
Offensively, they just look better attacking that zone. Against the man-to-man, they were hurrying their shots. They were taking the ball in too deep. Against the zone, they looked opposed. They look good.
Benny Anders now has 9 points off the Houston bench. 34-29, 5-point Cougar lead. Aggies got it down to 3 before Anders replied with a bucket. Roy Jones, Reggie Roberts, a minute 14 to play in the half.
Aggies are running a basic zone offense against that box and 1, looking for Riley whenever they can find him open.
Drexler had the steal. And the foul is called on Reggie Roberts. Against Reggie, that is his first, and against A&M, team foul number 6.
Anytime Reggie Roberts can go through an entire half and commit only one foul, that's a real plus for A&M because he has a tendency to pick up foolish fouls, usually 2 or 3 a half.
Now, good coaching move, Dan, as Guy Lewis takes Akeem out in the last minute and 7 seconds to make sure he doesn't pick up that 4th foul.
Very good move on Guy's part, you bet.
Brian Williams has come in to replace him. It's 34-29. Cougars by 5 with 1:03 remaining to play in the first half. Reed Geddes, Michael Young. Inside to Drexler for the finger roll that went in. Drexler now has 10 points.
Nice shot by Clyde, but the thing that made that possible was an excellent pass by Reed Geddes. He has tremendous vision.
This Houston team, of course, is no Johnny-come-lately. They went to the Final Four last year, lost by 5 to eventual national champion North Carolina in the national semifinals.
Houston capable of playing a lot of defenses. If the game stays close, if they should fall behind, we can look for them to do a lot of trapping off of this particular half-court defense and several other zones that they utilize.
20 seconds, as you see, to play in the half as Kenny Brown missed the shot. Houston up by 7 again, 46-29.
Houston to run the clock off, take that last shot with 4 or 5 seconds, I would imagine.
Geddes steals a glance at the clock.
The key here is to get a shot, look for a rebound if you need it, but not let your opponent get it.
Michael Young gets it as the clock runs out. So the Cougars utilize every second of the clock to lead at halftime by 38-29, I believe. That's the end of the first half of play with the score. University of Houston 38, Texas A&M 29. We'll be back with our halftime activities. Frank Fallon back with Dan Spica at G. Raleigh White Coliseum on the campus of Texas A&M. First half score, 38-29 Houston. Dan, I liken the fact, as you and I were talking a moment ago, that this has sort of been Houston against Claude Riley.
Claude is really doing the job. 14 points, 5 rebounds. He's pretty well been the whole show for Texas A&M in the first half.
And there are 3 University of Houston players who have not missed a shot in the first half.
Clyde Drexler, 4 for 4. Alvin Franklin, 5 for 5. Benny Andrews, 4 for 4.
Rebounding favors Houston 21-17. That stayed about the same. The block shots, there have been 5 official blocks credited to Houston, 4 to Akeem, and 2 Jimmy Gilbert of Texas A&M. Shooting percentages, 17 of 32 for Houston, 53%. Aggies, 10 of 31, 32%.
However, the most significant factor we're looking at in stats is that Michaud and Olajuwon both have 3 fouls. This could significantly change both the offense and the defense for the Houston Cougars in the second half.
You know, I just happen to think it's never been anywhere near a factor in the first half. We do have a 45-second clock in the Southwest Conference, but I don't think it's been anywhere near going off here in the first half.
I'm sure these 2 teams don't even know there's a clock up there and care less.
Remember, Houston has only fouled out 2 players. Reed Geddes comes in to replace Alvin Franklin in the first 8 seconds of the second half. I've never seen a quick substitution like that.
The only thing I can think of, the reason for that would be the jump ball situation. Houston hoping to get the tip, utilizing Franklin's speed, and he does have much greater speed than Reed Geddes.
Michael Young shot partially blocked by Claude Riley. Riley gets it back. Outlet pass, Tyron Knowles, but the big guy is there. Hey, Tyron took it to the hook.
Well, that was a real good move on Tyron's part because Olajuwon has 3 fouls. And should he had picked up the 4th one on that particular play, that would have been most significant.
Harry Michaud over Riley. Michaud, who in the first half was 1 out of 1, so he actually is the 4th Houston player not to miss a shot in the first half.
We received a clarification during halftime on that technical foul, Frank. It was called on Coach Guy Lewis for taking the gum out of his mouth and throwing it on the floor.
I haven't heard of that one.
No, I was going to say that might be a first in the history of the NCAA.
Alvin Franklin is back in instantly, and Reed Geddes has gone out for the Cougars. And they're still playing that boxing one. Roy Jones shot rejected by Olajuwon. That's his 5th block of the day. 105 on the year. He leads the country in that category. Greatest shot blocker since Elvin Hayes for the Cougars. Elvin once blocked 18. Let's look at it again as he blocked his 5th of the day.
Akeem doesn't jump up. He explodes into the air.
Michaud to Akeem. You know what a force this guy has become in just a year. A year ago, he was a big guy who was pretty good. Now he's a big guy who's on the border of greatness.
And again, he has only played this game, what is it, 3 or maybe 4 years at the most. He's still learning what it's all about.
42-29. Houston has scored 4 unanswered points here to start the second half. Cougars stay in that box and 1, with Drexler staying on Riley. Nice shot by Roberts. I'm sorry. Yeah, Reggie Roberts, okay.
Houston has changed their offensive alignment. They've put Olajuwon on the top of the key. What this basically does is open up underneath for Mishaw, and we saw a classic example of what that offense was designed to do on that particular play.
44-31. In case you're wondering, if Houston goes on to win this game, it will be the first time since the Texas A&M team 3 years ago won its first 9 conference games. That's goaltending. Aaron Knowles goaltending against Olajuwon. What's Guy Lewis's theory about going for the block shot?
Anytime the ball is in the air, you go after it regardless. Figuring that 50% of the time the official will miss the call, 50% perhaps he'll make it. Guy feels that any way you look at it, it's going to be in his favor to have his players go after everything in the air.
Olajuwon with a loose ball, 15-footer. Not his shot.
No. And he had Mishaw alone underneath the basket that time. He should have kicked the ball off. Larry would have come up with a layup, I believe.
You know, the last time these two teams played, I believe Texas A&M was out-rebounded by about 15 rebounds in the ballgame, 47-32, and that's very uncharacteristic for a Shelby Metcalf team.
Now, of course, that ball game isn't really a fair evaluation of their talent. They've been on the road virtually the entire month of December, and of course, that game was on the road too. They really didn't get the feel of their game. They do have it tonight, however.
Halftime score, Missouri leads Kansas State by 10, 38-28. Halftime, Indiana over Minnesota, 41-25. Knowles stepped on the line. Another turnover against the Yankees. That is their 6th of the day. The teams are even in the miscues, 6 apiece. Again, our 3 officials, Dan Watson, Alan Barker, and Tommy Taylor. This is Alvin Franklin. Last year, scored 27 points a ball game at Lamarck High School, was easily the most widely sought player in the state.
There we saw Akeem standing a full stride above the arc. Franklin can use him to rub off, set his screen. If not, the middle remains wide open.
What a pass from Akeem into Drexler, but a foul is called. I believe it's on Lowell McHenry of A&M.
Well, this is an example of real good team offense. Akeem gets the ball inside. When he gets it, we can see at least 4 jerseys surrounding him. That tells him that somebody's got to be open. He finds his man underneath the basket.
Shelby Metcalf with his assistants, John Thornton and Bobby Bent. Tyron Knowles picks up his second foul. That's 2 against the Yankees here in the second half.
And an out-of-bounds play. Mishaw got the ball underneath the basket. Being 6'9", he should have gone right straight up with it. Instead, he brought it down. He let the A&M players get after it. That's what caused him not to get a good shot opportunity that time.
Shelby, incidentally, has won 187 Southwest Conference games, and that's the most ever by a Southwest Conference coach. He earlier this year passed the old mark of 176, which was held by Glenn Rose, who coached at Arkansas back in the 1940s and 50s. Akeem, another big basket. He's got 10 points. And the Cougars haven't missed very many shots this second half. They lead it now by 13.
Well, when you get them that close to the basket, Frank, you shouldn't miss very many.
Still a box and 1 for the Cougars, with Drexler following Riley everywhere he goes. 1 shot. Akeem, or is it Michael Young?
He called Michael Young. It looked like he was pushing off, going after the ball.
Against Michael Young, that is only his first foul. For the Cougars, 3 apiece against Olajuwon. Guy Lewis, 516 career victories. 28 years, the head man. He's had his teams in the Final Four twice. But the only thing Guy hasn't accomplished is winning a national championship. And there are people who believe this team has that kind of talent.
Well, they definitely do. The potential is there.
Reggie Roberts. Roberts now has hit a couple of shots here in the second half. He has 8 points. Claude Riley, who had 14 at the half, has not scored in the first 4 minutes of the second half.
The Houston defense is giving the outside shots to A&M. Now all they've got to do is convert.
Michael Young now with his 12th point of the day. The Cougars have so many weapons. They can hurt you so many different ways in different places.
Well, that's right. About the time you think you've got them stopped in one area, they attack in another.
Lowell McHenry with a fine arch on the shot. 6'6" junior from San Antonio had to get it up and over Akeem.
Shelby is moving his defense back. I think he wants him to stay inside the paint, force Houston to go outside, take away that inside strength.
Reggie Roberts with great quickness, and was he fouled, or was it? I believe it's on Reed Geddes. It is.
45, timeout.
You know, one of the things, Dan, we've talked so much about Olajuwon this afternoon, but he's hard to overlook as you look at Reed Geddes. We've got a timeout. We'll tell you about it in a little bit. Right now, 15-17 to play in our ball game. Breaking the action. Cougars 48, Aggies 37. All right, we're back with a 48-37 lead. Looked at the field goal percentage for A&M. It's heated up considerably in the second half, Dan.
57%, significantly better than the first half. Houston apparently is stuck on 50% for the ballgame.
Still a box and one as Houston shadows Claude Riley with Drexler. And so far, it's been effective in the second half as Knowles tries to get it back in. His third attempt. And a goaltending call. Knowles gets the basket.
A&M becoming much more aggressive on that offensive board. About the same time, Houston is less aggressive, basically because their two big rebounders have 3 fouls apiece on them.
Well, let's look at it again with a different angle.
And often the angle of which you see this particular play determines as to how you would call it.
At the other end of the floor, Michael Young has just scored another basket for the Cougars, and they lead it 50-39. For Young now, that is 14 points in the ball game. Jimmy Gilbert put the ball on the floor, and Akeem has drawn his fourth. Olajuwon with 14:25 to go. But then what I wanted to say a moment ago before we broke for the last commercial, Akeem spent a lot of time this summer working with Moses Malone, working in the gyms in Houston, and that's obviously made him a much better basketball player.
Well, obviously, you can't help but learn when you're playing against perhaps the greatest rebounder in the game of basketball. However, that style is a little different. You know, in college basketball, they don't allow you to get quite as physical as they do on the playgrounds of Houston with the Moses Malones at all.
Well, Akeem will sit down now as Benny Enders, who came off the bench to score 9 points in the first half. Akeem sits down with 4 fouls. He's not fouled out of a ball game this year. Jimmy Gilbert, fine young freshman from Huntsville. That's only his second point of the day, both from the free throw line. He has not scored from the field.
In previous situations, when Akeem has gotten himself into foul trouble, they just moved Larry Michaud into the post. He took over and did a great job. However, we have a different situation here today. Larry himself has 3 fouls, so let's see what happens.
Alvin Franklin doing a good job of running this ball club. He's not scored a point yet today, but he's done all the other things very well. The freshman from Lamarck. Benny Enders, that one short, taken down by Gilbert. Tried to feed that one inside to Riley, and Riley says he didn't knock it out of bounds.
He has a lot of support from the entire Aggie bench in that decision, and of course they were in front of it. However, the official was right on the play, so we have to suppose that he called that one right.
There's trapping in the backcourt. Michael Young. Young gets it back. Found Drexler inside. What a play by Young and Drexler. Oh, that was just super talent.
How did Drexler get that shot off? I don't even know what to call it. Kind of a double whammy situation once he gets his hands on the ball. Comes once, falls over backwards, comes up. Tremendous body control.
Still looking at the same play over again. There's the pass inside to Drexler. At the other end, live action. A&M trying to get the ball to go down. It would not go. It's 52-40 in favor of Houston.
That ball was on the rim. I believe that could have been called offensive goaltender.
Michael Young, who is red hot. He has scored 6 points in the second half, and he now has 16 and leads all scorers.
You would think with Olajuwon on the bench that Houston wouldn't play with as much confidence, but it certainly doesn't look like that's the case.
Reggie Roberts lost it. Roy Jones retrieves it. A&M having trouble getting it to go in the hole now. Roberts went up with a stuff shot, didn't get it, and was fouled by Franklin.
Well, that stuff shot is fine. It excites the crowds. It might excite your teammates, but from a coaching point of view, you like to see the player make it the easy way. Put it to the glass. Let's just take 2 points. We don't care how we get it.
That's the 4th team foul against the Cougars here in the second half. If Houston should go on to win this ball game, they would become only the 5th Southwest Conference team since 1958 to win their first 9 games of the year. Texas in 63, Arkansas in 77, Texas in 78, and A&M in 1980. As Reggie Roberts makes the first free throw. It's no small feat to win your first 9 games in Southwest Conference play without a loss. Roberts getting one and missing one.
Reggie traded 3 for 1 that time, and that's not a good percentage to work with.
9 points for the junior from McKinney. 54-41. Alvin Franklin with his first basket of the day.
A&M is now zoning. It's taken away a little bit of Houston's inside game, but as long as the outside people pick it up like Franklin did that time, it won't make a great deal of difference to Houston.
We've got a new player on the floor for Texas A&M. Number 21 is Doug Lee, a 6'4.5" freshman out of Washington, Illinois. He's a good outside shooter, and now for the first time today for Houston, Eric Dickens checks in the lineup. 6'1", 170-pound sophomore from Houston.
Texas A&M has called a timeout.
We've got 12 minutes, 11 seconds remaining to play in the ball game. The score is 56-41 in favor of the Cougars over the Aggies. We'll be back in just a moment. Well, we have 12 minutes and 11 seconds remaining to play in the second half here at G. Raleigh White Coliseum on the campus of Texas A&M, where the University of Houston Cougars, rated number 8 in the nation, are 15 points in front by a score of 56-41. They have never really been in any difficulty in their battle here with Texas A&M. We've got a crowd of 7,457 on hand here at G. Raleigh White this afternoon.
A&M came out of their timeout with a, well, let's call it a three-quarters court press. I'll spit it out yet. Houston found water out in front of their bench, so they took a timeout to clear the water, and that's one way to defuse that press.
Number 15, Eric Dickens, in the lineup for the first time for the Cougars. Michael Young, number 43. Cougars have shut down the Yankee inside game so effectively in the second half that neither Riley, Jones, nor Gilbert has scored a basket here in the second half. 11 minutes and 38 seconds to play here at College Station with Texas A&M battling the 8th-rated University of Houston Cougars. But the Cougars are up by 17 now, 58-41. And is led all the way. Reggie Roberts, who has been almost the entire A&M offense here in the second half, as Texas A&M has not gotten a basket from any of its 3 inside people.
This press shouldn't cause a great deal of concern to Houston. They face it virtually every game they play in. They're usually ahead with that record. You'd expect that to be true, so they're used to attacking full and half-court presses.
Benny Enders, not as effective as he was in the first half. Riley's outlet pass to Roberts. He's got 3 men back against him. Whistle and a foul, I believe, on Doug Lee. I'm Frank Fallon, along with Dan Spiegel from the Holler House on the Brazos, G. Raleigh White Coliseum at Texas A&M, as the University of Houston Cougars, with the 3rd longest win streak in the nation, go for their 13th in a row. They're second only to UNLV and North Carolina as far as win streaks are concerned in the country. And they've had it all their way here against Texas A&M. Michael Young, who has been unbelievable here in the second half, has 18 points, 8 of them in the first 9 minutes of the second half.
They adjust to what is necessary to be done. It makes no difference. If they need outside scoring, inside scoring, they can do it.
So that 17-point lead is their biggest of the ball game, 60-43 with 10:36 remaining, and Shelby Metcalf decides that he wants to call a timeout. So it's Houston up by 17 with 10:36 to play. We'll be back to G. Raleigh White in just a moment. Well, the University of Houston leads the nation in the margin by which they're defeating their opponents, almost 20 points a game, and they're having no real problems with Texas A&M, which was thought to be maybe one of their pitfalls this year.
I'm frankly rather surprised. I thought this game would be much closer than it currently is.
Reggie Roberts guilty of the turnover, as Texas A&M now has turned it over 9 times. The Cougars have turned it over 6. Houston rated number 6 by the U.S. Basketball Writers Association, rated number 8 by both AP and UPI. They are 17-2 on the year. Their 2 losses coming to Virginia in Japan. This is Shaw. And Dickens.
Houston taking more time now before attempting a shot. They're utilizing the clock, making A&M come out and work a little harder defensively.
The other Cougar loss was to Syracuse at the Carrier Dome. And so it is still 60-43.
Taking nothing away from a fine Texas A&M team, Frank, but what they really lack is a point guard. They don't have a guard out there who provides the direction that's necessary. All their guards are shooting guards. Good players, outstanding players, but not a real field general in the entire group.
Again, another basket from outside, that one by Doug Lee. Riley, Jones, and Gilbert have not scored a bucket here in the second half for Texas A&M. Riley had 14 points in the first half. Clyde Drexler has shut him down with nothing here in the second half. Off-balance shot by Dickens. And if you're missing the big guy, Akeem Olajuwon, he is on the Houston bench with 4 fouls. Now Alvin Franklin is going to hurry back into the ball game for the Cougars. Olajuwon, who leads the nation with over 100 blocks, is on the bench with 4 fouls for the Cougars. This is Alvin Franklin.
Houston is averaging almost 20 points per game from their bench, so it really doesn't make a great deal of difference who guy puts in the ball game. Most coaches feel that his second team could compete very favorably in the conference.
Doug Lee going to the inside. Let's see if the basket counts. Let's pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC television network.
KPRC TV, Channel 2, Houston.
We have 9 minutes and 1 second to play at G. Raleigh White Coliseum. I'm Frank Fallon with Dan Spica. That foul a moment ago was called on Mishaw, Larry Mishaw of the University of Houston. And the Cougars lead it by 13, 60-47. And the basket was counted, and I don't know who it was credited to. Doug Lee. So that is his second bucket today, and he'll have a chance to make a 3-point play out of it. And again, Dan, I'm struck with the fact that there's not been a single point as you look at Akeem back in the lineup. Not a single point scored by anyone other than an Aggie guard here in the second half.
And maybe you'd expect that to happen or something close to it had the entire front line of Houston been able to play the half. This half, that is, of course, but they've been in foul trouble, so they have been weakened in the front line. So because of that, you would expect the Aggie front line to be doing more perhaps than they did in the first half.
The discussion was there is no basket counted by Doug Lee. He's getting 2 shots here. So there was not a basket. There was not a goaltending call. And Lee is getting 2 shots. It's 60-46. Lee will try to make it 47. Didn't get it, and Akeem back in gets the rebound. So Doug Lee has 1 basket and 1 out of 2 at the line. 8:50 to play in the ball game. 60-46. Houston leading A&M.
I would think we could look for Akeem to be rather passive the rest of the way, at least until such time that he may pick up his 5th foul.
A shot of the 45-second clock, which is not coming to play in this ball game at all. It's turned off in the last 5 minutes of the game in the Southwest Conference. And, of course, there is no 3-point play in this league as well. Clyde Drexler will bring it in to the side. Drexler's been pretty quiet here in the second half. He had 10 points at half and has added 1 basket to that.
Clyde does so many things that don't necessarily show up on a stat sheet. That's what makes him the player that he is.
Riley's got to feel a little frustrated. He had 14 points at the half and has gone now 12 minutes without scoring here in the second half.
Somebody had told me that would happen. I'd say no way.
Doug Lee out to Reggie Roberts.
Well, Benny Andrews doing a pretty good job on him right now. He's fronting him, and that's the way you play against Riley. Don't let him get his hands on the ball.
Now Doug Lee has 2 buckets, and the Aggies have cut the lead down to 12. It has been as much as 17. 2 occasions. What great body control by Drexler. Boy, that was a super play. There's no way Drexler's supposed to come up with that ball, but he did.
Great body control and great hands.
And Reggie Roberts with a foul from behind.
Well, Reggie has to watch himself in these situations. He has a tendency to go wild. He doesn't always play under control. And when you're down like you are with 8 minutes left to go, control is essential.
You know, another thing, Dan, as we look at it again to think about is this is the Texas A&M team that, by its own admission, has been playing good basketball. They've won 6 out of their last 8. It's not as if Houston's catching a team that hasn't been playing well.
Absolutely not. They have been on a roll. They did their game on Monday night. They were very confident. They thought they could definitely take Houston this Saturday afternoon. And I think what you are saying is essentially this points up how strong Houston is.
Alvin Franklin with a couple of free throws. And the Cougars now move it back to a 62-48 margin with 7:45 remaining to play. Well, how about a trip to the Waialae Country Club in Honolulu? Next weekend, NBC Sports brings you the Hawaiian Open. Join Vin Scully as the top pros compete for $325,000 in prize money. Next Saturday, third round action starting at 5 Eastern Time. And next Sunday, the final round at 4:30 Eastern Time for the Hawaiian Open from the Waialae Country Club in Honolulu, right here on NBC. Michael Young with a steal. Dan, we have some instant stats. What do they show us?
Well, they show once again Houston is shooting 50%, 11 for 22 from the field. A&M 8 for 19 for 42%. And rather surprisingly, A&M is out rebounding Houston 13-12.
Hakeem has just been fouled and going to the hook. Tommy Taylor tells us that it is Jimmy Gilbert, number 30. That's his first foul of the ball game. I really expected the freshman center from A&M to be much more of a factor in the ball game. He played very well the first time these two teams met.
Well, that's what I understand. He scored well. He rebounded well. He was much more of a dominant factor than he has in this ball game. Perhaps he's had too much time to think about the rematch.
Hakeem with his 11th point of the day, and Riley claims the rebound.
Hakeem not shooting that well from the free throw line, 65%, but he has nice form and a nice soft touch.
Benny Anders doing the defensive work on Claude Riley right now as the Cougars stay in a box and one. It's the first time this year in the conference I've seen a box and one employed. Doug Lee now has hit 3 long ones from a different area code.
Well, normally with a balance in today's collegiate basketball, you don't have an outstanding player of such magnitude that you'd want to play a box and one on. Obviously, Coach Lewis felt that Riley was, and past indications prove him correct, quite obviously. But I must say it has proved successful for Houston so far.
Good pass by Drexler, but Young couldn't knock it. Franklin couldn't knock it down. But the ball will belong to Houston. Crowd again today, 7,457. Goes out for the Aggies. 6 minutes, 42 seconds to go. A&M trailing by 13. Drexler used all the hook. That is his second basket this half. He's got 14.
Well, that should never happen, Frank. Claude Riley was sleeping that time. He didn't have his hands up. He wasn't even cognizant, I don't believe, that pass was coming. That's just a defensive error.
Whistle and a foul on...
Looks like Benny Anders.
Anders of Houston. That'll be his first.
Number 33 over the back.
Playing Claude Riley just a little bit too tight that time.
That's 6 in this half against Houston. The leading scorer, to show you how much balance we have in the Southwest Conference this year, the leading scorer in the league is Darrell Walker of Arkansas, averaging 18.2. Drexler is second, 17.4. Young is third, 17 points. Crowder of TCU, 16.2. And again, the Cougars come up with the basketball. Getting close to the 6-minute mark, 15-point Houston lead. Hakeem over Gilbert. Hakeem is becoming more and more an offensive force. He has 13 points. Boy, when he does that, he's going to be the complete player.
When you get the ball that low to a man 7 feet tall, you'd like him to take it to the basket. Hakeem still hasn't learned that move. He takes the fadeaway jump shot. Of course, when he does that, if he hits, fine. But if he doesn't, he's not in a very good position to rebound.
Well, those last 2 trips down the floor, I think, typify this ball game. Houston's basket's coming from Gilbert with a block. And a foul on Gilbert.
I don't know. Did he call that on Gilbert? I'm wondering. Did he not call that on Doug Lee coming in from the other side?
Maybe right. 21. Yeah, it was on Doug Lee.
They had a pretty good double team going that time, and I think Lee got him with the body, or at least was called for doing that.
So Houston's baskets are all coming from within 4 or 6 feet now, and all of A&M's baskets have to be coming from 25 feet out. That last long bucket by Doug Lee, a good example. Hakeem with 1 out of 3 at the line today. 2 out of 4. 12 points. 14 points for Olajuwon.
He has a good touch. When he learns some offensive moves, he'll become just that much better of an offensive player.
Myron Moore fishing it off at the last moment. the Cougars.
Well, he penetrated so deeply, Knowles did that time, that there really wasn't much room for him to make a pass into.
A&M has now turned the ball over 13 times this afternoon to Houston 7.
Shelby has just taken a timeout. He wants to question Dan Watson, the referee, about something. What, I'm not sure.
So with 5 minutes and 28 seconds remaining to play here at G. Raleigh White Coliseum, the University of Houston Cougars, nationally ranked number 8, lead the Texas Aggies 6. Live action again as the University of Houston's Clyde Drexler just hits his 16th point of the day, his 7th basket, and the Cougars now have upped the lead to 18. That's their biggest of the day, 70-52.
Clyde is oh so smooth. He doesn't waste any energy in anything he does. Efficiency of motion.
Kenny Brown, and the Aggies are having to shoot from way outside. They're getting good shooting from Kenny Brown and Doug Lee, but the Cougars are doing it so much more easily. Michael Young got on Tyron Knowles' back, I believe. We want to thank Frank Schultz, Media Relations, and Jay Goldberg, Sports Information Director at the University of Houston. Ralph Carpenter, the Sports Information Director, and his assistant John Tischler here at Texas A&M for their help in producing today's telecast. And thanks also to Lisa Greider from the Southwest Conference office for her assistance. Of course, personally, I appreciate the help of my statistician, Ed Burleson, who keeps us up to date on all the facts and figures as they unfold on the floor.
Knowles had good defensive position on the board that time. The Aggies haven't had bad position, but when you're playing Houston and the ability to go over the top, sometimes it makes you look bad. It makes you look like you're not doing a good job of blocking out.
Tyron Knowles missing the free throw. 4.5 minutes to play. 16 points, Houston lead. This is Reed Geddes. Benny Anders, Hakeem Olajuwon over Gilbert. Drexler kept it alive.
Aggies sending 5 men to the board again. That time they were so deep that the rebound came out over their heads.
Hakeem with another hoop. He has 16 points on the day, 7 baskets, 2 out of 4 at the line. And the Cougars have an 18-point lead. That's their second time today to lead by 18.
Did I say something about Hakeem playing passively because he had 4 fouls?
There is Claude Riley's first basket of the second half. There is our Chevrolet most valuable player, Clyde Drexler of the University of Houston. That basket a moment ago by Riley. The first basket of the second half for Riley. He went 16 minutes without scoring. Reed Geddes. Well, that's the first time we've seen Houston score from way outside in a while.
Well, the thing is, Geddes can do that. He is an excellent outside shooter. However, their offensive plans just don't allow or call for the guards to do that much outside shooting.
Well, Lee again. Lee has hit 4 from considerable distance. Okay, it is a 3:13 mark now, 74-58, with the Cougars leading the Aggies by 16. Final score in the Big Ten, Indiana beats Minnesota 76-51. We have a timeout. 3 minutes and 13 seconds remaining in our ball game, with the University of Houston well on their way to their 13th consecutive win of the year, up by 16 over the Texas Aggies. Today's telecast for Houston directed by Don Hoagland, Associate Director Dave Hoffman, Technical Director Don Geist, Electronic Graphics Jonel Colura, and Engineering Supervisor Don Wilson, and we thank them. Kenny Brown trying to put the Aggies back in the ball game, but I'm afraid it's too little too late. Michael Young is fouled by Jimmy Gilbert.
Well, after Houston virtually destroyed Baylor the other evening, Coach Haller of Baylor said, all I can say is they are awesome, and I think I would have to echo his sentiments.
Well, we're talking about the Cougars' win streak, and longtime Cougar fans will remember that despite the fact this team will have won 13 in a row, the Cougars had a team back in 1967 and 68 in the Elvin Hayes era that won 31 straight ball games. Michael Young gets his first free throw effort of the day, and he now has 19 points. He leads all scorers. Has 20. Houston will be on the road Wednesday against SMU and back home Saturday night against TCU. 2 minutes and 50 seconds to play. Jimmy Gilbert going inside, and Drexler has drawn only his second foul of the day for our MVP. Drexler.
A&M is forced to put the ball up in a hurry, so we can look for several shots that they normally wouldn't take under different situations.
Jimmy Gilbert, who has not scored a single field goal today, and Roy Jones, the other starting forward, has scored only one. As Houston has done an absolutely phenomenal job defensively of shutting down the inside against the Yankees.
I think that's the one big difference between this year's Houston team and last year's edition. This year they play much better defense than last year.
We said a little earlier, Dan, that not a single team in the Southwest Conference has managed to shoot 50% against this Houston team, and that's about as fine a tribute as you can pay to a team's defense.
Absolutely, and every coach loves that. They love to be known as a good defensive coach.
Michael Young, player control foul. He shakes Dan Watson's hand, agreeing with the call.
Well, at this point, it's academic, so he's not concerned too much about that call.
Only 2.5 minutes remain in the ball game, and the Cougars lead it by 18. I believe, have they ever been up by 20, Ed? Not yet. 18 4 times. In this game, Houston was favored by only 4. Tells you just how much of a surprise this spread is. Doug Lee shooting and missing, and Michael Young rebounding. I'll tell you one thing, Guy Lewis still has his frontline players in there with 2 minutes to play, so he doesn't feel that secure about it yet. Reggie Roberts running it down. Chance, didn't get it. Young rebound.
Well, the guy feels secure, and that, I think, is a moot point. He wants to make sure that the players keep up their intensity. That's one thing you have to guard against when you're having a season as Houston is. It's easy to become complacent. A coach must guard against that.
18 points for our Chevrolet most valuable player, Clyde Drexler, after that basket, and Benny Anders blocking the shot of Claude Riley and drawing the foul. Benny again, and our Chevrolet most valuable player is Clyde Drexler of the University of Houston.
Clyde the Glide does it all. He scores, he rebounds, he plays defense, he assists. Just a totally complete basketball player. And if I had to pinpoint his talents, Frank, I think perhaps the thing that I would recognize him most for is his offensive rebounding ability. It's something you don't teach, offensive rebounding. Basically, it's desire. Technique certainly comes into play, but the desire to go to that offensive boards is what makes a great offensive rebounder.
He has almost 15 more offensive rebounds than he does defensive rebounds this year, and that's pretty unusual.
Most unusual.
It is now 78-60, Cougars by 18 with 1:40 to play. But the outcome is no longer in doubt. It's simply a matter of what the final margin will be.
Well, in situations like this, the coach wants to make sure the team holds their composure. The players, on the other hand, have a tendency sometimes to try to pad those stats in a situation as we have right now.
Shelby Metcalf, 20 years as the head man at Texas A&M. 4 times his teams have won the Southwest Conference championships. 187 Southwest Conference victories, the most ever by a conference coach.
This has been a fairly close series. This win will give Houston a 32-21 record against Texas A&M. 6-15 in G. Raleigh White Coliseum, and as we stated earlier, their first win at A&M since 1978.
Reed Geddes with a couple of free throws, and it's a 20-point lead. The University of Houston Cougars obviously rated number 8 in the country. Final 4 last year, and an excellent chance to do that again. Reggie Roberts. Of course, the folks up in Arkansas will have something to say about that when those two teams play again in early March. However, Houston won the first game between those two by 15 down at Hopkins. But Eddie Sutton's ball club only 1 game behind the Cougars, so they can't. They certainly can't take anything for granted.
Absolutely not. And Arkansas playing very well at the moment, exemplified by their great victory over Wake Forest last weekend.
Again, the next 2 assignments for the Cougars. They go on the road Wednesday to play SMU, a team they defeated 105-71 earlier this year. And then they get TCU at home a week from today, or tonight, I should say. And that's been their closest conference game to date. They won that one by only 3 in Fort Worth. Reggie Roberts is fouled out of the ball game. Drexler reestablishes the 20-point lead. That is 20 points for Clyde Drexler. 3 times the Cougars have led by 20 points. Kenny Brown misses, and Drexler gets the bound. 3-on-2 break. Great offensive move by Benny Andrews.
We saw Benny doing his thing that time, playing one-on-one basketball, an exciting individual move.
84-62. Cougars have a pretty good following here, and they're pretty happy now over behind that Houston bench. Kenny Brown, follow shot by Claude Riley. That is his 18th point of the day, but only 4 of them have come here in the second half, and all of them within the last 4 minutes of the half. Clyde Drexler. Under 30 seconds to play, as you see. The Cougars will become only the 15th in the Southwest Conference since 1958 to win their first 9 ball games of the year. Anders may have drawn the foul. Believe he did. Anders got on the back. That is his 3rd foul. Cougars will win their 13th game in a row. Here's that foul a moment ago. Second longest win streak in the nation. Or 3rd longest. UNLV winning its 19th in a row last night. And North Carolina winning its 15th in a row. There's Akeem.
We should have a few minutes at the conclusion of this game, Frank, to talk with Coach Guy Lewis. And what do you bet he said, boy, was this a tough ball game? I will say, I should say.
Well, it would really be hard to agree with that because the Cougars have, I don't think they ever trailed Ed. Has A&M ever led in this ball game? One time, at what point? 6-4. Okay. Since that time, Houston's assumed control and up by 11 at the half and never in serious difficulty. And with 4 seconds, we get a foul inside on Riley. 5 seconds. Top scorers of the day. Michael Young has 20. Clyde Drexler has 20. Akeem Olajuwon with 16. For the Yankees, Claude Riley with 19. Reggie Roberts with 15. Doug Lee with 9. Mishaw has 7. Has 8.
Really pretty good balance scoring on both sides.
Mishaw gets his 10th point of the day. 86-66. So it is a 20-point victory for the University of Houston. Most unexpected. Came in a 4-point favorite. With our final score, Houston 86, Texas A&M 66. We'll be back with a wrap-up right after this.